The United States has long been called a nation of immigrants. It draws people from countries across the globe in search of a new life and opportunity. With each wave of immigration comes change, economically, politically, and socially. It also brings cultural innovation. Our Urban Voice profile this week is proof of that fact. She grew up in the U.S. and Nicaragua and currently lives in Washington, D.C., where she's a lead singer of a band. Their music is bilingual and blends influences from both countries. For this week's Urban Voice, we present the Latin rock group Elena and Los Fulanos.
You could call it musical fusion. Songs that express a bicultural experience, written and performed by a musical artist who grew up in both Nicaragua and the United States. Elena, Lacayo.
Well, the band was formed in 2011, and we started here in D.C.
Her group is called Elena and Las Fulanas.
Los Fulanos means so-and-so. It's actually a term that's used universally in Spanish. It means like so-and-so. So like, oh, I don't know that guy's name, fulanito, you know, like that so-and-so, that Joe Schmo. I was born in the U.S. in 1984, which is in the middle of the revolution. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. My parents had just gotten here with their 3 kids. And we lived in the States until 1992. We lived in Louisiana, and then we lived in Miami, Florida. And then in 92, we went back to Nicaragua. And so I grew up there from ages 8 to 18. I went to school in Indiana. I went to Notre Dame Catholic University over there. I came to DC initially to work on social justice issues. So initially I came as like an intern at a Catholic organization, and then I fell into working in the issue of immigration because I knew a lot about being an immigrant and how the immigration system works just because of my life experience.
Elena's life experience also included something else she'd learned a lot about: music.
But I would say one of the biggest influences for me is Soda Stereo, which is like really big Argentine rock band out of Argentina. They were huge. Shakira, for like her old stuff, she was like, I mean, I like to describe, when people ask me to describe who my music sounds most like, I'd like to think that it sounds like Shakira's older stuff, because she wrote really awesome and deep songs before she turned to English. But I also like a lot of stuff like American stuff like Counting Crows and Ben Folds. Those are the things I grew up on.
But using all of those influences to create her own sound presented a problem.
That was the most difficult part about when I decided to pursue music more seriously, is that I had songs in English and in Spanish, and they had been influenced by such diverse kinds of music. So when I started writing music, I started writing songs in English and in Spanish. And when I decided to form a band, I was like, well, can this be done? Can you actually like do a project that's both in English and in Spanish? But I decided I really wasn't going to be able to do the project if I couldn't be authentically myself, and I couldn't be true to all the parts of myself. And that required for me to actually be able to do it bilingually. It does really make things complicated when you've lived half of your life in one place and half of your life in another.
Sale el sol, volaré con las aves, los nuevos cantares de día.
In addition to combining musical styles, the band uses an unusual array of instruments.
We use a broad range of instruments. Our percussionist uses a cajon, which is originally from, I think, Peru or somewhere in South America. And I use a ukulele, which is from Hawaii. I also use a banjo, which is clearly an American instrument. And of course, guitar, bass. And we also have a violinist. And so that's another unique aspect of our stuff.
One of her bandmates, Andrew Northcutt, plays percussion.
I met her through this thing in DC. It's called Flash Bands,
which is a project here in DC where a lot of musicians get together and formed impromptu bands for a month.
And a month later, you play a show for like 4 songs, 30 minutes.
It's really fun, and it's a way to meet a lot of new musicians, so it worked out for me.
She ended up hiring me for her band.
Elena and Las Fulanas played for about 3 years before making an album in 2014.
So making an album is a lot of work. I mean, the music industry is a very different world than it used to be even like 10 years ago. And there's many advantages, one of which is that you can do stuff without having a record label necessarily attached to you. And you can do things independently. So we actually did an online fundraising campaign through a program called Indiegogo, in which you request for your fans and followers and your supporters to donate money to a cause. And our cause for this one was making the record. We raised about $8,000 to make the record.
Elena hopes she can continue to incorporate Nicaragua into her music.
I recently acquired a marimba when I went back home. And I got a specific kind that's very authentically Nicaraguan, and so I'm learning how to play that. So that's one of the goals that I have for the future, just to be more of an ambassador of my own culture, which is a small little country that a lot of people, don't know a lot about. Success is really a relative thing. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if I got really popular, and I don't know if that's the ultimate goal. I mean, I think my ultimate goal is I want to make music, and I want to be able to live making music, and if I can find a way to make that happen, that's where I'm going to be happiest.
Two worlds uniting to create a new world through song.
Elena says it's hard to make a living as a musician these days because most people don't buy CDs like they used to. But she adds that having an album is a good thing because people outside of Washington can now hear her band's music thanks to the internet.